The story begins in a quiet classroom, bathed in the afternoon sun. A girl named Megumi sits at her desk, lost in thought. Her gaze is fixed on a boy across the room. Her friend appears, interrupting the silence. She points out that Megumi is staring at him again. She asks if Megumi really has a thing for delinquents. Megumi's head drops slightly, her expression soft and earnest. With a quiet sigh, she admits that she does. She glances back toward the boy, Wakamatsu-kun. A wistful, "yeah," escapes her lips. Her friend puts it all together, asking if Megumi likes him. Megumi turns back, her eyes full of a strange sadness. She simply says that the worlds they live in are different. Her friend is left completely confused by the answer. Elsewhere, another girl squeals with excitement. She exclaims how cool Wakamatsu is. She loves his blonde hair and how good he is at fighting. Her friend tries to warn her. She says Wakamatsu-kun is scary. She asks if the other girl isn't afraid of him. Nearby, another girl looks down with a longing expression. She whispers that she wants to dye her hair blonde too. Her friend immediately tells her not to. She insists that she's cuter with black hair anyway. The praise is cut short by a sudden shout. "He looked this way," a girl cries out. Her friend coldly corrects her. "He was looking at her," she says. "Not both of them." The girl's hopeful face crumbles. Tears well in her eyes as she admits the harsh truth. Across the school, the boy in question, Soshi, feels a prickle on his neck. He gets the distinct feeling that someone is staring at him. He turns around, a questioning look on his face. His dark-haired friend, Kurosawa, just laughs. He tells Soshi he's the only one who didn't notice. Soshi recoils in shock, shouting, "No way!" Kurosawa points out the girl. He identifies her as Suma-san, the serious, cute girl. Soshi lets out a slow "oh" of understanding. Kurosawa immediately starts teasing him. He says Soshi has a thing for serious girls. He calls them angels from a different world. Soshi flushes bright red, telling him to stop. His friend just grins. He tells Soshi he never had a chance anyway, not with his delinquent blonde hair. He asks again if he really likes serious girls. He calls the idea cute. Soshi throws his hands up in frustration. He yells that he already knows it's hopeless. Kurosawa just claps him on the shoulder. He suggests they go to the convenience store. As they walk, Kurosawa gets philosophical. He says people from different worlds should stick to their own. You can't just step into someone else's life. Soshi grumbles that he has no interest in gals. His shoulders slump in defeat as he looks at the ground. He quietly wishes a diligent girl would notice him. But he thinks to himself that's an impossible dream. His friend looks over, asking if he's all right. Their destination comes into view up ahead. Inside the brightly lit store, a girl stands in an aisle. She has lustrous, dark hair tied in pigtails. Soshi stops dead in his tracks. His gaze is completely and utterly fixed on her. He can't bring himself to look away. Kurosawa suddenly points, his voice filled with drama. He yells that is the girl, the one with the knee-length skirt who is staring at him. Soshi's world comes to a screeching halt. His mouth hangs open in total disbelief. "What? For real?" he shouts. His eyes are wide with a manic excitement. He starts gushing about her perfect twin tails and her perfectly round, innocent eyes. His mind is completely short-circuiting. The diligent, serious girl who was staring was this unbelievably cute girl right here. He slams his hands over his face. A deep groan of utter embarrassment escapes him. He confesses everything to his friend. She is totally, completely, 100% his type. He's mortified by how strongly he feels it. He asks if his friend noticed her hair. Her beautiful, lustrous black hair. Kurosawa just lets out an amused chuckle. He playfully asks if Soshi is going to collapse on his knees. Soshi, still hiding his burning face, just nods. He whimpers that he's going to collapse right here. His friend just keeps laughing at his hopelessly smitten friend. A friend nudges the blonde-haired Sushi. He grins, nodding across the classroom. He tells him a girl is staring at him. Sushi freezes, his face instantly turning red. "No way," he sputters, completely flustered. His friend just laughs at his obvious blush. Across the room, Megumi feels his eyes on her. A shy, hopeful expression crosses her face. A faint blush dusts her cheeks. Sushi can't take it and whips his head away. He's annoyed at his own uncontrollable reaction. Meanwhile, Megumi hides her face from her friends. She whispers that he looked right at her. She feels like she could burst from happiness. But her friend brings her back to earth. "Wasn't he glaring at you, though?" she asks. Megumi's smile falters, replaced by confusion. She slumps in her seat, trying to understand. But Sushi wasn't glaring at all. He was lost in thought, totally captivated. He thinks about the scent of her hair. He notices every little detail about her. His friends see him staring and start teasing. They ask what he'd do if she confessed. Sushi can't even imagine it. He quietly thinks that he's not bold like them. At the same time, Megumi is having a similar talk. Her friends ask why she likes that type. The rebellious type, who aren't afraid to stand out. She thinks of the assertive student, Wakamatsu. She admits she admires that kind of strength. It's something she feels she could never do. Her parents are just too strict. She quietly admits to herself she might like Wakamatsu. The envy and admiration are all mixed up. Later, in a crowded school hallway, the teasing resumes. A friend whispers to a blushing Sushi. He tells him if they like each other, he should just go for it. So she covers his face, mortified. He groans that his friend is right. Just then, a clear voice rings out. "Wakamatsu-kun." Everyone turns. It's Megumi. She's addressing the spiky-haired Wakamatsu directly. He turns to face her with a serious expression. Sushi's heart stops in his chest. He watches them, his mind racing. Megumi looks confused by something Wakamatsu is saying. "What are you talking about?" she asks. Bewildered, something inside Sushi snaps. He sees her confused face and misreads everything. He forgets where he is. He forgets everyone watching. He lunges forward, his voice shaking with anger. He shouts at Wakamatsu to stop talking. He demands to know why he's being mean to her. "Why are you so mean to the person you like? Are you a grade schooler?" A shocked silence falls over the hallway. The scene fades. The air is calm now. Sushi and Megumi are alone together. She has a soft, knowing smile on her face. She asks him if he heard what they were saying earlier. Sushi turns away, his defenses back up. He tells her it's none of her business, but his internal thoughts are a mess. He thinks she is an angel, impossibly cute. "You were just saying you like me," she teases gently. She leans in a little closer. "You could look a little happier about it, Sushi." He struggles to maintain his poker face. He curses his uncooperative facial muscles. He wants to smile, but his face is frozen. Seeing his struggle, Megumi's teasing fades. Her expression turns soft and sincere. She apologizes for pushing him. Then she takes a small breath. She looks him directly in the eye, and she asks him the one question that matters. "Do you want to go out then?" The dam inside Sushi finally breaks. His composure shatters completely. "Time out," he yells, throwing his hands up. He clutches his face, a huge grin spreading. He explains his facial muscles are cramping up. He can't hold back his overwhelming joy any longer. Seeing his frantic, genuinely happy reaction, Megumi's own cool demeanor crumbles. Her face erupts into a bright, beautiful blush. Suma's face drains of all color. His friend is screaming, asking if he's even okay. Just moments ago, everything had been perfect. It all started when he finally confessed to her. Sushi stood frozen, a hand covering her mouth. She was a blushing, stuttering mess. Soma just watched her, thinking she was adorable. Later, they found a quiet place to talk. He asked if he was really a good match for her. He looked away, saying he probably wasn't good enough. She told him she admired his freedom. He insisted she was perfect just the way she was. He loved her dark hair and her neat uniform. A soft smile appeared on her face. She started to say that's what she liked about him. Suma's breath hitched in his chest. She noticed his ears turning bright red. He thought he must be the luckiest guy in the world. Saoshi then bowed deeply. She would be in his care from now on. He shyly asked what she even liked about him. She smiled, calling him strong and cool, and also a little clueless about people. She wasn't scared of his reputation like everyone else. In fact, she was relieved she had no rivals. Sama, however, felt his own rivals were multiplying. Soon, they were always seen together. He shared snacks with her at school. She would tell him about her favorite manga, which brings them to this moment, talking with his friends. One of them remarks that she's not scared of them at all. She just laughs, saying they're normal people to her. Another friend gets flustered, thinking he might fall for her too. Seeing his reaction, Sushi quickly tries to explain. She says she'd never steal someone else's partner. Besides, she declares, I'm only interested in Wakamatsu-kun. A deafening silence falls over the group. It's broken by one of his friends, absolutely screaming. He yells that they were acting just like a married couple. He turns to Suma, his voice filled with panic. He shouts that his face looks terrible. He desperately asks if he's even all right. The next morning, a girl's heart gives a loud thump. It's Megumi, her hand flying to her mouth in shock. She sees the boy she likes, his face bruised and bleeding. It's Saoshi, the boy she knows only as Wakamatsu-kun. She rushes to his side, her voice tight with worry. She asks him if he was in a fight. He looks away, a little sheepish. But a proud smile creeps onto his face. He tells her yeah, but that he won. He's just happy that she's worried about him. Megumi looks him straight in the eyes, her expression serious. She tells him she isn't worried. She knew he'd win, because he's strong. Their friends watch the exchange, completely baffled. They thought she would be angry about him fighting. But instead, she has absolute faith in him. Later that day, Megumi peeks around the classroom door. She happily asks Wakamatsu-kun to walk home together. As they head out, their path is suddenly blocked. A gang of thugs stands before them. They want payback for a fight from the other day. The air grows thick with menace. The thugs sneer, asking if they want to go 4-on-4. Sushi glares back, saying he has no patience for this. But before a punch is thrown, a voice cuts through the air. It's Megumi? She calls out a single name, Soshi. He freezes, his entire body going rigid. She looks at him with unwavering determination. She declares that he is going home with Chester. The thugs are left utterly bewildered. One of Sushi's friends steps in, telling them to leave. The thugs can only stare as they walk away. They wonder who that woman was, and why everyone obeyed her. Later, Sushi is still reeling from the encounter. He can't believe she called him by his real first name. He turns to her, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. Taking a breath, he asks if he can call her Megumi. Her entire face lights up. A huge, brilliant smile spreads from ear to ear. Of course, she says, her voice full of pure joy. Sushi clutches his chest, completely overwhelmed. It all started in a quiet classroom after school. Sushi lounged by the window, looking unconcerned. He announced he'd probably skip the test anyway. Megumi looked up from her books, her pen paused. She asked if he wasn't planning on studying. He glanced away, a little flustered. He was only here because he wanted to be. She didn't need to worry about him. Megumi smiled softly, turning back to her work. She apologized for making him wait so long. Then, an idea sparked in her kind eyes. She offered to teach him whatever he wanted to learn. An image of a flirty girl flashed in his mind. He immediately shut the thought down. No thanks. Megumi's warm smile didn't fade in the slightest. She just hoped he'd find a subject that he liked. Her simple wish struck him with unexpected force. Down the hall, a friend's voice warned him. He was told not to dare make his girlfriend sad. Back in the classroom, Sushi formed a plan. A terribly, wonderfully foolish plan. He told her she could watch him study instead. Maybe seeing him work would spark her interest. Megumi tilted her head, listening patiently. She simply prompted him to go on. He'd explain anything she found curious. Inside, his own mind was screaming at him. Why was he being so cold and ridiculous? Suddenly, Megumi's expression grew serious. She stared directly into his soul. She needed to know why he cared so much. Why did he want to raise her grades this badly? The question completely shattered his composure. Sushi's face crumpled in on itself. He buried his head in his hands, mortified. He thought to himself, I am such an idiot. At that moment, Megumi had a realization. Oh, right, he didn't need to match her at all. Soshi, meanwhile, was still spiraling in panic. Did he make her think he wanted her to change? He silently cursed himself for being a fool. Megumi smiled, a secret thought forming. She knew that if he taught her, She'd just end up watching him, not his books. So she was predicting a different outcome entirely. He was sure she would end up scolding him. "Watch me study, not me," she'd surely say. But a hopeful fantasy began to take hold. What if he saw her make a bashful face instead? His friend's voice cut through the daydream. He was told to stop muttering nonsense. He needed to have a real talk with Megumi. Later that evening, they finally parted ways. He was immediately cornered by his friends. They told him his grades were in the red zone, so she was stunned that they already knew. His friend's face grew deadly serious. He told Sushi he knew about his crush, but this whole plan was a huge mistake. Sushi turned away, his patience gone. He didn't want to hear this lecture. He demanded to know how his friend knew her weak subjects. Then, Sushi's expression softened into a haze. He confessed he'd heard Megumi talking about it. She'd mentioned that she was bad at math. But there was a very serious problem. Her voice, he explained, sounds just like a bell. It was simply too cute for him to handle. The truth was, he couldn't follow a word she said. His brain just short-circuited every time. His friends could only stare, dumbfounded. And so, the day of the test results arrived. Sushi slumped in his chair, completely wiped out. He groaned that he'd slept through everything. The scores were so unbelievable he refused to listen. He grabbed his friend, shouting that he was lying. Even the teacher had told him the same impossible news. His face twisted in pure, unadulterated shock. There could only be one explanation in his mind. He screamed, accusing them of cheating for him. A paper was held up right in front of him. Math 1 to 92. Math A 95. His mind finally put all the pieces together. When he found out Megumi was bad at it, suddenly, for her sake, he could do it. A singular focus that produced a miracle. But his victory came at a terrible cost. He had failed every single other subject. Now he was hunched over his desk, paying the price, scribbling endlessly through a mountain of makeup work. In the chaotic aftermath of returned tests, one boy approaches a girl. Wakamatsu-kun peeks around the corner with a cheerful smile. The girl praises him for trying his best on the exams. He shyly holds something out to her with a simple, "Here." It's a perfectly folded origami shirt, made from paper. Her eyes widen in amazement. She says he's so good at origami, but a friend gawks, realizing what it's made from. Those aren't just any papers. They're his math tests. His friends put it together instantly. He must have flunked. But the girl's face lights up. She tells him she passed her math test. She says now they can finally study together. A wave of emotion suddenly hits her, and her eyes well up. Wakamatsu freezes, completely overwhelmed by her reaction. She leans against him, tears of joy streaming down her face. She confesses she was so worried that he hated her now. She pulls back, smiling brightly through her happy tears. She tells him she's just glad he found something he's good at. Watching from afar, his friends see imaginary puppy ears sprout from his head. Meanwhile, another student had a very different result. Sushi stands alone, holding his scores, a 92 and a 95. He thinks to himself that he might just be an amazing man. His friends, however, are less than impressed. One asks why he bothers studying things he'll never use. Sushi launches into a grand speech about future responsibility. His friend just dryly congratulates him on the long sentence. Sushi groans in frustration. Why can't they just be happy for him? He turns to another friend, his confidence suddenly gone. He asks how he's supposed to show Megumi his scores without bragging. His friend calls him an idiot and tells him to just go for it. The teasing immediately starts up again. They joke about her wanting 5 kids. Another warns that her parents would kill anyone who tried anything before marriage. Sushi's face goes completely red. What? He covers his face with his hand, utterly mortified. He admits it's hard enough for him to even make a move on her. Nearby, a different conversation unfolds about another student. A friend remarks to Megumi about how much she's changed. He says she used to have such a cool, composed, top student air, but now, she cries so freely in front of everyone. Megumi looks down, a thoughtful, gentle smile on her face. She supposes she really was that kind of person before. A fair-haired boy approaches Megumi in the school hallway. He asks if she's Salma, Wakamatsu's girlfriend. She quietly confirms that she is. He smiles slyly, asking her to go out with him for a bit. Megumi stares, her face hardening. She thinks to herself that he seems weak. She utterly dislikes him. Trying to be polite, she explains she's waiting for Wakamatsu. But the boy grabs her wrist, insisting it's just for a moment. Megumi is horrified. A boy who isn't Wakamatsu is touching her. She can't stand it. The feeling is purely disgusting. From a distance, their friend Kikuchi watches the scene unfold. He can't hear their conversation, but he can see her distress. He steps in, getting between them, asking Megumi if she's all right. She looks up, her expression firm, telling him the boy did nothing. Kikuchi ignores her, telling the stranger to get the hell out. The boy just smirks, introducing himself as Honda. Kikuchi cuts him off, telling him not to mess with them. The scene shifts to Sushi, sitting alone in the student counseling room. He was caught trying to smoke, and now has to write a reflection essay. Later, the confrontation over, Kikuchi sits with Megumi in a classroom. He offers her a piece of candy, a familiar gesture. She smiles gently, remarking that he always has sweets with him. She explains their whole group is trying to quit smoking. That's why Sushi and another friend were dragged away by a teacher. We see a glimpse of Sushi's true motivation. He tells Megumi he could never let her breathe in polluted air. He even suggests he might dye his hair back to its natural black. The sincerity of his words leaves Megumi completely stunned. Later, the full group of friends finally reunites. Wakamatsu suggests they all go to a family restaurant for a snack. They find a table, but the only one available is in the smoking section. Despite his recent promise to quit, Wakamatsu lights a cigarette. Across the table, Sushi's expression hardens into a dangerous glare. He thinks he'll harm anyone who forces Megumi to breathe that air. He asks Wakamatsu if he really intends to smoke right now. He quietly threatens to make it so Wakamatsu can't breathe at all. Their friend panics, calling Sushi a one-hit kill final boss. But the tension breaks when they decide to order dessert instead. Sushi watches Megumi's face light up at the sight of a chocolate cake. A thought registers, clear as day. Megumi likes chocolate. As they leave, Sushi quietly asks Megumi to come here again sometime. He says he wants it to be just the two of them next time. Megumi walks down the school hallway, lost in thought. Suddenly, a teacher's hand rests on her shoulder. He says he's glad he found her. He's heard she's been with Wakamatsu's group lately. He asks point blank if they are threatening her. Her eyes widen in complete disbelief. The teacher presses on, asking if she's being extorted. Megumi forces a weak smile, insisting she's all right. He worries too much, she says softly. She walks away, a single thought echoing in her mind. So that's how they see them. Just because their hair is different, they're labeled a threat. Her friends' cheerful voices break her out of it. They call out to her, joking around without a care. One of them, Kanai-chan, playfully announces he's teaching the next class. Megumi watches them, a small, fond smile on her face, but the peaceful moment is shattered by another teacher. Arita-sensei corners Wakamatsu, his voice sharp and accusatory. He asks if they've been extorting money from Megumi. Wakamatsu explodes, roaring back in defiance. The other boys shout at the teacher, absolutely furious. Megumi watches the scene unfold, her heart aching. Later, she sits across from Arita-sensei in the counseling room. She asks him if he really gets along with her friends. He smiles gently, offering to lend an ear. So she decides to tell him everything. She explains how the other teachers judge them without knowing them. She just wants someone to look more closely. Yes, they might seem rough, but they only fight to protect things. They can actually study, and they're even trying to quit smoking. She looks him right in the eye, her voice filled with passion. They're people who can treasure others. The teacher looks thoughtful, then a warm smile spreads across his face. He admits teachers can't see everything, but he's glad she can. He asks her to keep earnestly watching over them. Then he leans in, teasing her about her love life. Megumi buries her face in her hands, completely flustered. She leaves the room, misty-eyed and blushing. Wakamatsu sees her leaving and freezes, noticing the tear tracks. He looks totally confused and worried by her state. Overwhelmed by the misunderstanding, Megumi shouts it out loud. I like you, Wakamatsu-kun. In the school gymnasium, PE class begins. Megumi stands alone, leading the warm-up stretches. The teacher's voice booms across the court. He tells them to pair up for the leapfrog exercise. The other students quickly find their partners. But Megumi is left standing by herself. She turns, a worried look on her face. Her friend Wakaba-chan has already paired up with someone else. Megumi's shoulders slump. She thinks that everyone is just watching her from a distance. She feels like if she approaches anyone, they'll just run away. Across the gym, Wakamatsu and his friend are watching. His friend points out that Megumi is all by herself and flustered. Wakamatsu thinks she's a total cutie. He doesn't even care that her shirt is tucked in. His friend sighs, noting the special filter he has when looking at his girlfriend. Wakamatsu starts daydreaming. He imagines Megumi wearing his oversized jersey. She'd tell him she forgot her own, and he'd be the hero. He snaps back to reality, rubbing his forehead in frustration. Megumi never forgets her stuff, and he didn't even bring his jersey today. Meanwhile, his other friends are talking. One suggests they invite her to their group. Another worries they're all boys, and she might get hurt. But Wakamatsu's friend just grins. He tells them not to worry. If she gets hurt, they'll just let her beat them up equally. And with that, he starts walking toward her. Someone nearby marvels at the power of boyfriend. The friend who invited her smiles to himself. He's a little worried people will think they're bullying her. He asks her if she has anyone to pair up with. Megumi's eyes widen slightly. She quietly asks if she can join them. He just says, "Join us." His friends are all for it, happy to have a girl in the group. Megumi looks down, a single tear welling in her eye. She's so happy she's about to cry. Wakamatsu sees her expression, his own face beaming. He declares he can't skip class knowing they'll have PE together. But the other girls in the class are starting to panic. They whisper that Suma-san is associating with delinquents. They see her as a thin, fragile flower. One girl cries out for someone to save her. She's terrified that Megumi might get devoured. Another collapses in despair, saying it's impossible. Back in the group, the leapfrog exercise is about to start. One of the boys, Kawasaki, admits he's not very athletic. He can fight, but he's a slow runner. He crouches down, ready for her to jump. And Megumi flies through the air. Her form is perfect, her leap powerful and high. Kawasaki looks up, completely stunned. He can't believe how high she can jump. Wakamatsu clutches his face in despair. His fantasy of her stumbling so he could catch her is shattered. He moans that he's going to cry. His friend dryly notes that the simulation has failed. Now it's Megumi's turn to crouch. She smiles cheerfully, saying she'll do her best. Wakamatsu shouts a firm and immediate, "No!" She asks if it's because he doesn't want people touching her. He tells her she's too thin and he doesn't want her to get hurt. Kawasaki agrees, warning her that her bones will break into pieces. The next day, the class is playing badminton. One of the boys worries that a boy's smash will be too fast for her. But Megumi just grips her racket with fierce determination. She declares that she'll turn into a melon, but she'll be fine. Wakamatsu covers his mouth, trying to hide his laughter. He thinks to himself that she is just too cute. The game begins. Megumi misses her first shot with an apologetic "oops." The boys laugh, telling her to play at her own pace. A warm, cheerful atmosphere settles over their court. Then, a boy hits a powerful smash. The shuttlecock becomes a white blur. It's a miracle shot, screaming past his partner's head. He looks back, relieved it only grazed him. The other students look on, completely shocked. But the boy who hit it asks Megumi how she did that. It was her shot, not his. She just smiles sweetly, claiming it was a miracle. Later, she's fanning herself, feeling hot from the exercise. She tells the boys that her body feels hot. Wakamatsu, who was listening nearby, completely freezes. The other girls in class are watching from a distance. They realize Suma-san can smile and is actually fun to be around. Suddenly, a boy runs full force towards Megumi, planning to trip. He falls, and she lands perfectly, sitting calmly on his back. The final bell rings, but no one is going home. Outside the school windows, a torrential downpour begins. At the entrance, Megumi stands by the shoe lockers. She lets out a quiet, tired sigh. She forgot her umbrella. Not far away, Wakamatsu and his friends are also stranded. He groans, complaining about the miserable weather. He's still fuming from getting an earful from a teacher. Then he spots a familiar figure, and his mood lifts. He calls out to Megumi, asking what's up. She looks around, saying she can't find Sonshi. He figures Taku probably had other plans too. He asks what she's doing just standing there. Megumi gives a small smile. She explains she's just waiting for the rain to subside a bit. Just then, two of their friends stumble back inside, drenched. They cry out that it started raining cats and dogs minutes after they left. It was too far to walk back to their own homes. Wakamatsu looks at his friend, dripping water all over the floor. Megumi looks at him with gentle concern. She pulls a neatly folded towel from her school bag. She tells him it would be terrible if he caught a cold. He laments that his uniform is soaked through. She pushes the towel into his hands, telling him to dry himself properly. He buries his face in it, an expression of pure bliss washing over him. A towel that smells like Megumi, he thinks. This is a reward. As she stands near him, a friend warns her not to get too close. He tells her she might catch Wakamatsu's cold. Wakamatsu puffs out his chest, declaring he can't let that happen. Another friend jokes that maybe Wakamatsu will catch a cold from her. Wakamatsu states confidently that he can't catch a cold, because he's an idiot. Megumi just stares at him, completely baffled by his logic. The group bursts into laughter. Wakamatsu freezes, the implication of his own words slowly dawning on him. His friend Taku, meanwhile, looks downcast. He sighs that even though he got a good math score, he's still an idiot. Wakamatsu scoffs, reminding him he's never gotten a failing grade. Taku glares, betrayed, and says they're no longer friends. Wakamatsu just smirks, boasting that he can do it if he tries. Taku throws his hands up in frustration. He yells that it's exactly that attitude that's the problem. Just then, someone notices the rain has let up slightly. The group decides to try and make a run for it. One boy warns the others not to get under his umbrella because they're drenched. Another boy retorts that he's the cold one for not sharing. Three of them end up crammed under a single umbrella. They shove and argue, getting wetter by the second. A girl named Chihiro complains her tall partner is blocking all the coverage. He apologizes and offers to let her hold the umbrella instead. She watches the boys fighting, thinking how silly this is. This is nothing like it looks in manga. As if on cue, the sky opens up again. A heavy downpour forces everyone back under the school awning. Wakamatsu and Megumi stand side by side, watching the sheets of rain. Suddenly, Wakamatsu lets out a huge sneeze. He turns away, looking disgusted with himself. Megumi just looks at him and says his sneeze is also cute. Seconds later, their friend Sunshi lets out a monstrous wet sneeze. The group recoils in disgust. He demands to know why the treatment is so different. Megumi thinks to herself that Wakamatsu's germs wouldn't be dirty, but other people's are definitely a bit much. She declares out loud that Sonshi is part of the other people group. Wakamatsu stares, his face a mix of shock and awe. He tells her she's kind of disgusting, but also incredibly cool. After a while, the rain finally eases to a drizzle. Wakamatsu turns to Megumi and asks if she's cold. She looks at him with a calm smile and says she's okay. At that moment, a tiny, drenched cat appears at her feet. It rubs affectionately against her leg. Megumi's face softens as she crouches down. She murmurs that the poor thing is soaked to the bone. She gently reaches out, asking if it's okay. Wakamatsu watches the scene with a fond smile. But as Megumi goes to pick the cat up, it lets out a furious hiss. Megumi pulls her hand back, completely stunned. Wakamatsu struggles to hold back a laugh. Flustered, Megumi looks away, convinced the cat thinks she looks mean. A friend offers the creature a piece of his leftover hot dog bun. The cat eats it instantly, then happily climbs into Megumi's lap. She cuddles it, then playfully says she'll eat it next. Wakamatsu looks at her in complete shock. She just laughs and asks if he likes cats. He turns his head, admitting that she is far more adorable. He watches her holding the purring cat, a gentle smile on her face. He thinks to himself that nothing could ever top this sight. The rain finally stops, and the sky grows quiet. They say goodbye to the little cat and decide to hurry home. As they walk, They hear a typhoon is coming, and they all break into a run. The next day at school, it's time for cooking practice. Megumi diligently mixes ingredients in a bowl, completely focused. Her friend asks if she cooks often, noting how good she is. Megumi clarifies that she mostly bakes pastries late at night. She explains it helps her de-stress when studying becomes too much. Her friend is stunned, thinking to herself, is she a witch? The friend then asks about Megumi's relationship with Wakamatsu. Megumi's entire face lights up with a brilliant smile. She says they're very close, and that he treats her well. Her friend is blinded by her radiance, thinking this girl is truly amazing. Later, Megumi finds Wakamatsu, holding a small paper bag. She cheerfully offers him some cupcakes she made during her lunch break. In his mind, Wakamatsu lets out a primal scream. Thank you, lunch break. He and Megumi sit together on a bench, away from the others. He smiles warmly, saying it's great she's making friends with her classmates. Megumi is suddenly flustered, her face flushing red at his simple praise. The conversation then turns to her family. She mentions her father is from a highly prestigious university. A chill runs right down Wakamatsu's spine. He thinks to himself that meeting her father will be an impossible task. His vision starts to blur, his body trembling with dread. He can only see a future where he's losing his life. Megumi looks at him, asking if that was supposed to be a joke. He looks down, solemnly declaring that he is a lost cause. She smiles gently, then asks if he wants to come over to her house. His expression turns dead serious. He says that he knows he'll have to go there one day. And then, Megumi just bursts out laughing. Wakamatsu is left staring, completely lost. Suddenly, he senses a great betrayal. His friend Taku ate the cookies that were meant for him. But Megumi calmly holds up another neatly wrapped package. She says she foresaw this, and saved his portion just in case. Wakamatsu takes a bite of the cookie she saved for him. He admits he doesn't eat many sweets, but these are delicious. Megumi beams, excited to bake him a whole cake next time. As they eat, she turns to him, a piece of cookie between her fingers. She holds it out, telling him to say, "Ah." His eyes go wide in complete surprise. He leans forward, taking the bite right from her hand. He smiles gently, eyes closed, and thanks her. Megumi freezes, her own face turning bright red. She covers her mouth, trying to hide a giddy, uncontrollable smile.